Hello, my dear students. Myself, Dr. Pitambar Umne, founder Botany for You, and working as Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Dharampet MP Dev Memorial Science College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. I welcome you all in this online platform for the students of Life Sciences. And today we will see the 11th lecture in this series of Angiosperm taxonomy on the title Plant Collection and Herbarium Techniques. In studying the Angiosperm taxonomy, the plant collection is the first step, and then we are making the herbarium sheets for the further study. So, what are the different aspects of the plant collection and herbarium techniques? We will see thoroughly in this lecture on plant collection and herbarium techniques. This topic is included in the syllabi of UG as well as the PG, and also this topic will be helpful to the students or the researchers in the Angiosperm taxonomy. In this lecture, we will see the definition and the meaning of herbarium techniques and the collection, then purpose of herbarium, types of herbaria, then functions of herbaria, then herbarium techniques means the different steps which are used in the herbarium formation, then major herbaria of the world as well as the India, so that you will be able to know the different herbaria of the universe as well as our nation. Then herbarium ethics means which things we have to remember while using the different herbaria. So, first of all, we will see what is herbarium. If we see the definition of the herbarium or the meaning of the herbarium, then we will see a herbarium refers to a storehouse of dried and preserved plants arranged according to any recognized system of classification. We know the meaning of the classification, that is nothing but the arrangement of the organisms with respect to the similarities and the differences. We will take this topic in the upcoming lectures also. So, if we have the different herbarium sheets and if they are stored in one particular place, and these herbarium sheets if are arranged with respect to the particular type of the classification, then such a type of the storehouse of the herbarium is considered as a herbarium. So here these sheets are kept in either such a type of the wooden or the steel almirahs, and having such a type of the compartments which are known as pigeonholes. So in such a almirahs, we have to keep the different herbarium sheets according to the system of the classification. Very commonly, the classification given by or proposed by Bentham and Hooker as well as the Engler and Prantl are commonly used in most of the herbaria of the India as well as in the other countries. According to the Fosberg and Sachet in 1965, the modern herbarium is a great filing system for the information about plants, both primary in the form of actual specimens and secondary in the form of published information, pictures and recorded notes also. So in this way, we can say the importance or the utilization of the herbarium in upcoming future, because in addition to the different specimens, we will have the other related information, and definitely that will be helpful to the upcoming generations engaged in the plant taxonomy research or angiosperm taxonomy research in the future. Then what are the different purposes of the herbarium? Why the herbariums are prepared? So first one, that is as a reference collection. Usually anyone who is engaged in the research in angiosperm taxonomy need certain references for the verification of the identified plants. Usually we are using the floras which are published at the national, international and the local levels also. And after using the keys in this flora, we have to identify the plants. And after the identification, if we want to see the our correct identification, or if we want to verify our identification, then we can use the different herbarium sheets which are placed or which are available in the different herbarias, and hence it act as a reference collection. Then even the different specimens which are available in the herbarium, they act as a teaching as the and the research aids, because while teaching to the students in UG as well as the PG, it is not possible to collect the every plant of the every family from the syllabus. And in such a situation, if we will have the dried specimens, preserved specimens in the herbarium, then we can easily show such type of the plants to our students, so that the students become aware to the actual plants or the actual specimen of the flora of that particular area. Then third one, that is the repository of type and other materials. In angiosperm taxonomy, there is a typification. There are the different type materials like the holotypes, then lectotype, neotype, etc. So such type of the type specimens are also available or stored in the herbarium, and hence it is said that here it is a repository of the type and other materials. Then even from the herbarium, there is a facility of the loan to the other education or the research institutes. So even any institute can take the loan in the form of number of sheets from another herbarium for the study or the research. Then what are the different types of the herbaria? On the basis of the collection or on the basis of the area covered in the formation or the creation of the herbarium, they are classified into the different types. This is not a technical classification, but on the basis of the use of the different area or the use of the different specimens from the different geographical area, they are classified into the three different types. The first one, that is the national or the major herbaria, which contain the specimens either from all over the nation or the country, or even there are the many herbaria in the world that contain the specimens which are collected from the different nations also. So such type of the herbaria are considered as a national or the major herbaria. In the second type, that is the regional herbaria, in which one of the region is covered in the formation of the herbaria. Say for example, any national park or any sanctuary or any particular area in the form of the state or in the form of the complete region is covered, then such type of the herbaria are considered as a regional herbaria. Even there are the many works which are dependent on the very small pockets of the area, and such a type of the herbaria formed or the based on the small works, then these are known as the local herbaria. Say for example, if we have to prepare the herbaria on the basis of the flora available in the Nagpur or the Nagpur district, then we can say that such type of the herbaria will be the local herbaria. So in this way, here basically these herbaria are classified into the three different types. Now, what are the importance of the herbaria in the plant science research? Means after the formation or the creation of the herbaria, how it is useful to the students, researchers, and even the teachers of the plant sciences, not only in the botany, but also every branch which is related to the plant, that is very much helpful in this type of the aspects. So first one, that is the source of information about the plants and the vegetation. Whenever anyone is working on the different floras of the nation or the flora of the particular state or the region, then for a one person it is not possible to search each and every plant of that nation or the state. And in such a situation, he or she can refer the available specimens from the different herbaria of that area, and hence here it provides the complete information of that particular area of the plants as well as the available vegetation. Second one, that is the morphology, palynology, anatomy and the biosystematics. Here, with the help of available specimens, we can study the morphology of the specimens or the plants or the vegetation. Then even on the basis of the available pollen grains in the specimens, we can study the different pollen grains. Then anatomy and even the biosystematics also. For such a type of the study like the palynology, anatomy and biosystematics, here there is a need of the permission from the owners or the officials of the herbarium, because we have to use the certain plant material, and for that it is necessary to take the permission. Then preparation of the list of the endangered species, because on the basis of the availability of the plant material in that particular area, here we are able to know the rare plant species of that particular area or the other area, and hence even to prepare the list of the endangered plant species is also possible with the help of herbaria. Even it is a source of the identification and comparison. As earlier said, if we identify any plant or if we are not able to identify any plant, in such cases, by comparing the available sheet with the identified sheet from the herbarium, we can identify the plant. Or if we have identified the plant earlier, then even we can compare that plant with the earlier identified sheet available in the herbarium, and hence here this can be verified with the identified sheet, and hence it becomes now the source of identification and comparison also. Then preparation of the monographs and of the genera and the families. Even if we are able to study the different monographs for the families or the genera, in such a situation we can sit in any herbaria and prepare the monographs for the genera as well as the species also. Then study of the physiology, then biochemistry and the chemotaxonomy is also possible with the help of available plants or the specimens in the herbarium. Then training to the young researchers in the taxonomy. If we want to provide the training to the young researchers in the angiosperm taxonomy, then also we can use these herbarium sheets or the herbaria, so that the students or the upcoming researchers can take the advantage of the different arrangements of the herbarium, different characteristic feature of the herbarium, interrelationship among the herbarium, or even the evolution of the different specimens or the angiosperm plants, so that such type of the different aspects can be included in the training of the researcher with the help of herbarium. Then the last one, that is the repository of the chromosomes also. Even we can compare the different species on the basis of the morphology, and if we want to compare these on the basis of the available chromosomes or the chromosome number, arrangement of the chromosome, position of the different centromeres in the chromosome, or we want to study the DNA sequencing also, then also it is possible with the help of available specimens in the herbarium, and hence again it becomes now the repository of the chromosomes also. So on this basis we can conclude that how the herbarium are important in the every field of the research related to the plant sciences. Then this is now the herbarium techniques. As we said, our title of this lecture, that is the plant collection and herbarium technique. So here the collection is nothing but the first step of the formation or the preparation of the herbarium, and the collection completely depends upon the type or the aim of the collection or the research, because the different peoples are interested in the research in the different aspects in angiosperm taxonomy. Some peoples are working on a particular family, some peoples are working on the particular genus, and some are interested in a particular family, particular species also. So depending upon the interest of the researchers in the family, genus, or the species, the collection will be depend. Even some peoples are working on the flora of a particular area. For example, I have worked earlier on the flora of Bandara district. So in such a collection, in such a type of the collection, we have to collect the complete flora of that particular area from the angiosperms. And hence here, from any geographical area, if we want to study the particular type of the plants, either species, genus, or family, so according to our aim of the research, we have to collect the same type of the plants. So for the collection, what are the basic needs that we have to represent here? First of all, we will have the need of the portable plant press, so that the collected plant materials can be pressed and preserved for the future use. Usually, these plant press are of the two different types. Here we have taken one example, which is usually the portable plant press. Even there are the formation of some other plant press also, which are even made of the metals. Here there are the two different supports of the wooden frames, and in between these two, here there are the blotting papers, or even we can use the newspapers. And the size of the plant press is 12-inch by 18-inch, which is the standard size, which is slightly bigger than the herbarium sheets. So we can carry such a type of the portable plant press while collecting the plant from the field. Second one, that is the vasculum. Vasculum is nothing but a bag-like structure or bag-like utensil here, which is made up of the metal or the steel. So after the collection of the plants, to avoid the desiccation, such type of the vasculums are traditionally used. But nowadays, usually vasculums are outdated and are not generally used because of the available of the polythene bags. And even the polythene bags can be used to store the plant till their pressing in the plant press. Then in case of the small plants like the herbs, we have to need to collect it with the complete all structures, that is the root, stem, leaves, flowers, and the fruit. So there is a need to dig with the help of diggers available. So even we will have the need of the diggers to uproot the plants in case of the herbarium sheets, in case of the small herbs. Then pruning scissors or the secators, if the plants are shrub or the trees, in such cases, here we have to use such a type of the pruning scissors or the secators to cut the flowering and fruiting branches for the collection. Then pocket lens. In the market, there are many different type of the available pocket lens or the hand lenses, and such a different type of the hand lenses can be taken with for the collection in the field, so that we will be able to know the characteristics of the plants when it is fresh and available in a natural condition, because such type of the characters will be helpful in identification of the plants, because we are not going to identify the plants in the field, and hence we have to note down these different characteristics of the plant in a natural condition, and for that we will have necessity of the field diary. So we have to note down the different characteristics like the soil type, temperature, area, then even the geological position. So in this way, the different characteristics can be noted down in the diary, and hence we must have one diary for the noting of the different characters of the collected plant material. It is good that we have to praise the plants in the field, but many times if we are focused on the collection, at that time it is not possible to collect the plant and praise at the same time in the field. In such a situation, we have to keep them in the vasculum or the polythene bags, and later on after the collection we can praise them with the help of plant press. So first of all, then what to collect when we are present in the field? Here I am trying to provide almost theory also in many places so that the students of the PG and UG can use such type of the theory in their examinations also. The herbarium specimens should be true representative of their populations. Means whenever we are talking about the formation of the herbarium, then it should be collected from the same area from the population, and hence it represent or it becomes now the representative of its population, that is the true individual. Then range from the variation should be shown and exceptional variants should be recorded. Many times we are finding the many variations among the individuals of a population, and in such a situation if we find the certain variations among the different plants, such type of the specimen should be collected for the further study. Then it should be collected in a flowering and the fruiting state, because when we are going to identify the plants, at that time mostly in the keys the flowering and the fruiting characters are considered, and hence while collecting the plants we have to take care that the plants which to be collected for the preparation of the herbarium, so it should be in a flowering and the fruiting state. If the plants are dioecious and if there is a availability of the male and the female plants, in such a cases we have to collect both type of the plant so that we can easily differentiate the male and the female plant and show the characteristics as well as the two different type of the sheets for the male and the female plant. In herbaceous plant, the root stock should be collected whenever possible, and also the bulb, corm and the tubers. There are the many keys in case of such type of the plants having the underground stem or the underground peculiar type of the roots, and hence for such type of the plant for the identification there is even need of the bulb, corm or the tubers also. So in case of such type of the plants, it is good that we have to collect these underground parts also. To quicken the drying process, the fleshy underground parts can be cut into the halves, and if we have the some other underground parts, then we have to cut it into the halves so that it becomes helpful to dry it for the future use. And dipping them in a water or immersing them in a alcohol can kill the bulbs, and so that it becomes easy to preserve such type of the underground parts for the storage in the future or the preservation. The tall and the bulky plants can be cut into the pieces and represented on 2 or 3 herbarium sheets. Usually, if we have the herbs but which are tall and such type of the plants are not able to stick on the same herbarium sheets, so in such a cases the same plant can be made into the 3 different pieces and the 3 different herbarium sheets can be prepared. Or even in addition to that, we can fold these plant specimens in the form of V, N, M or the W and to represent on the one single sheet. So depending upon the size of the plant, we can use this method. Then in biennial plant, the sterile rosette as well as the flowering shoot should be pressed. And when within the press, the padding of the cotton, then paper or the cardboard can be used to even out the pressure on leaves and the flowers. So while pressing such type of the plants, Here there is a necessity to straighten the leaves as well as the different floral parts, and for such type of the cases there may the formation of the unevenness while pressing. So in this way here we can use the either cotton or some newspaper so that there will the formation of the even surface, and the collected specimens can be pressed very easily for the future use. So after the collection of the plants, we have to press it with the help of plant press. Here there is a formation of the two belts at the two different sides, and there are the two different wooden strips which are of the different types in the different plant press. Here in between these two there are the presence of the blotting papers or the sheets of the blotting paper. We have earlier seen that the 12 by 18-inch size of the herbarium, the 12 by 18-inch size of the plant press is usually used. So it is always better to press the plant specimen in the field itself. This will help the best preservation of the plants. But as earlier said, every time it is not possible to press the plants in the field, and in such a cases we have to store these plants for some time in the vasculum, or can collect it in the vasculum or the polythene bags, and later on after the collection during the whole day we can press it in the evening also. Then when we are pressing these plants, we have to keep the plant inside the blotting or the blotting papers or the newspaper, and tied it with the help of available belt in the plant press. Now every time after the 24 hours or the 48 hours or 72 hours, depending upon the type of the plants which are collected and the season in which we have collected the plants, there is need of the changes of this paper in which these plant specimens collected and pressed in the plant press or the blotting papers. So initially there is need to change every day. After some time there is need to change in every 2 days, and then every 3 days. So up to 3 to 5 changes will be needed for the complete drying of the specimen in the plant press. Even after the dryness of these specimens we can dry it. So after 2 to 3 changes, usually 2 to 3 changes are not sufficient for the complete dryness. Up to 4 to 5 changes are required for the plants, and if the plant is succulent, even the more time will be required. The specimens are finally kept in fresh blotting sheets and dried either naturally in a sunlight or even artificial heating with the help of oven. If we are using the oven, there in such a cases we have to wrap it in the blotting papers and inside the aluminum foils also. So in this way here the specimens which are collected and pressed, they will completely dry, and so that it can be preserved for a longer time. Then there is need of the poisoning. Before mounting the specimens, they are poisoned, because after mounting on the herbarium sheets, here there is a possibility to spoil these different specimens which are collected and prepared. So to avoid the spoilage or the infection by different fungi, because there is a common infection by the fungi on the collected plant material, and to avoid this there is need of the poisoning of the collected material. After pressing, there is use of the mercury, then lauryl pentachlorophenate, and even the formalin. Very commonly the mercury chloride is utilized for the poisoning of the plant specimens. Here First of all, the mercury chloride is used to dissolve in 90% of alcohol to prepare the stock solution. And later on, after the formation of the stock solution, here one part of the solution and the 9 parts of the alcohol can be mixed, and then it is used as the poisoning solution. And hence here such type of the poisoning solution is either sprayed on the different specimens which are collected and ready to mount on the herbarium sheets. This is very poisonous, and hence it is necessary to take care while using the mercury chloride. If there is any cut on the hand, in such a cases we have to avoid the use of the mercury chloride. As in comparison to the mercury chloride, the LPCP, that is the lauryl pentachlorophenate, is more safe. Then even there is a utilization of the 10% of the formalin. Many times the formalin even is used before the pressing or at the time of the pressing also. If we want to collect the plant in a bulk, at that time we have to press it in a particular herbarium sheets or in a particular blotting papers or the newspaper, and the complete bunch is immersed in the 10% of the formalin, and then it remain as it is for the several days, so that the complete all the plants at the same time will be disinfected. Even the individual plants before the pressing can be immersed in the 10% formalin, and then it can be pressed in the plant press. So there are the various methods of the utilization of the formalin as a poisoning agent in the formation of the herbarium specimens. Then after the formation of the herbarium specimens or the dried specimens, after poisoning, we have to mount it on the herbarium sheets. Usually the herbarium sheets are made of white papers, somewhat thick papers, and the international size of the herbarium sheet is 28.75 into 41.25 centimeter. Here on such a type of the herbarium sheet, we have to mount the collected and pressed plant material or the specimen. There is utilization of the different materials for the mounting. Even simple, we can use the synthetic glue or the glue obtained from the animals. Even this can be tied with the help of threads, or even it can be attached to on the herbarium sheet with the help of sellotapes. If we are using the threads, here the knots of the thread should be on the back side of the herbarium. So on the back side of the specimens we have to apply the glue, and then it should be pasted on the in the center of the herbarium sheet. And in this way, here the collected dried and preserved plant material will be mounted on the herbarium sheet with the specified size of the sheet. Here on the herbarium sheet there is need of the certain labels. Here there is a flora of Nagpur district. So here we can either write on the top of the herbarium sheet, or even here this box with the label is enlarged here. So even here we can mention the flora of Nagpur district. So depending on the area which is to be studied. In addition to that, we have to mention the serial number of the herbarium sheet for that particular area. Then date of the preparation or the collection, then botanical name of the plant, that will be completely dependent upon the identification of that organism. and we will see this topic in the next lecture, how to identify the plants. Then vernacular or the common name, that we have to collect it from the local peoples of that particular area from which the plant is collected or the specimen is collected. Then habit of the organism or the specimen, like the herb, shrub, tree, climber, twiner, etc. Approximate height of the organism, then locality from where that plant is collected, flowering and the fruiting period, then locality, this was repeat, then altitude, then soil, type of the soil, then vegetation type, then association of the plants, and any significant notes. Then ecological notes, then the name of the collector, name of the collection, and after that, when it is identified, then the name of the person who has identified that plant material. So such type of the information should be mentioned on the herbarium sheet, and this is known as the labeling. So in this way we will have to provide the labels. Then the last one, that is the filing and the storage of the herbarium sheets. So after the formation of the herbarium sheets, there is need of the filing, and this filing will be depend upon the different aspects, that the filing depend upon the species, depend upon the genera, and depend upon the families. So we will have the pockets of the same size of the herbarium sheet for the species collection. Means we have to collect or keep all the herbarium sheets in a one pocket in case of the single species. And the different species of the genus again should be kept in another pocket. So this should be used for the different colors, so that it will be easy to identify the different genera on the basis of the color of this pocket. And later on, here these different pockets should be kept according to the families, and in this way here there will be formation of the filing of these different herbaria. And then there is a storage of such a type of the pockets of the herbarium in the available pigeonholes in either wooden or the steel almirahs available in the storehouse. And during this storage of these pockets or the herbarium sheets, here we have to use the certain classification. Usually in many flora there is a utilization of the Bentham and Hooker system of the classification, or in some cases or in some countries even the Engler and Prandtl system of the classification is followed in the herbariums. So depending upon our easy method, we can use the convenient method either given by the Bentham and Hooker or the Engler and Prandtl. We can store all these specimens according to such type of the classification. So in this way there will be the formation of the complete storehouse of the herbarium sheets or the specimens, and such type of the storehouse is known as the herbarium. After the formation of the herbarium, there is need of the pest control, because if we want to prepare the herbarium sheets, it should be remain present or remain as it is for the several years for the upcoming generation to use it in the research in plant sciences. And very commonly the silver fish fly is a common insect which infect on the plants which are dried. So in such a type of the cases, here it is possible that this insect will spoil the collected material available in the herbarium. So to avoid this spoilage of the herbarium, there is need of the pest control, and that can be carried out with the help of 4 different methods. The first one, that is heating. In herbarium, either there is a utilization of the technique of the central heating so that the temperature of that particular room or the storehouse can be increased. And in this way, the different insects which are present in it, that will be automatically killed. Then even there is a utilization of the deep freezing so that the different insects available, or if anything, then it will be killed. Then even the microwave oven are also used to kill the different eggs or the insects also. But use of the microwave oven even is harmful to us also, or disadvantageous to us also, because here there are the availability of the pollen grains and basically the seeds. And if the seeds are present there, and later on if these seeds are used for the further study, then it is not possible to germinate these seeds after the treatment with the microwave oven. And hence here we should avoid almost the microwave oven in the pest control. Then fumigation, which is very commonly used in the different herbarium to kill the different infection or to control the different infection in the herbarium sheets. Out of that, here there is a utilization of the different chemical compounds like the methyl bromide, then carbon disulfide, then carbon tetrachloride, paradichlorobenzene, and even the naphthalene in the form of naphthalene balls or naphthalene powder in the herbarium. So that here either there is a use of the spray, or even like the naphthalene powder, we have to keep it in the cloth so that automatically there will be the fumigation in the complete area of the herbarium. So very commonly the naphthalene balls are kept in a pigeonholes for the fumigation in everywhere. So in this way, always the storehouse or the different specimens which are available in the herbarium, that remain as it is for the future use, and there will not be the any infection after the pest control. So here we will see the what are major herbaria of the world. The beginning of the herbarium as a collection of dried specimen affixed to paper is attributed to Luca Ghini. Means here he is the pioneer person who tried to use the dried specimen and the formation of the herbarium. Ghini seems to have been the sole initiator of the art of herbarium. So we have to remember his name, that this novel idea of the preservation and formation of the herbarium is the outcome of the idea from Ghini's brain. This art was disseminated over Europe by his student, that is the Gerard Sibo, a student of Ghini, began collecting and preserving the specimens as early as 1532. Means even before the work of the Cornelius. And his herbarium is extant today in Florence and Italy. And hence here this herbarium is known as the first herbarium of the world. There are approximately 2,639 herbaria available in 147 countries around the world. We are talking about the major herbarias. Even there is a possibility to have around 3,000 herbaria in our country also, because every institute, educational institute, or even the research institutes are maintaining the herbaria. In my department also there is availability of around the 6,000 specimens of the angiosperms collected from Bhandara and Nagpur district. Here this is the list of the major herbaria of the world, and here this data is taken from P.N. Holmgren Index Herbarium 8th edition from the New York Botanical Garden 1990. So here you can see here the Museum National de History Naturally, which is located in the Paris, France, and the date of establishment of this herbarium and containing the 88 lakhs 77,300 approximate plant specimens in this herbarium. Below it, that is the Royal Botanic Garden, which is the Kew and from England, which is established in 1841, contain around or more than 60 lakhs of the plant specimens. Then later on, the New York Botanical Garden from the USA, then Komarov Botanic Institute from the Russia, then Swedish Museum of Natural History from the Sweden, then Natural History Museum from the London, England, then Conservatory at the Jordan Botany, that is from the Geneva, Switzerland, then Howard University from Cambridge, USA, then Smithsonian Institute from the Washington DC, USA, and the Institut de Botanique, that is from the France. And so these different numbers in the lakhs are available in the form of the species in the herbarium. So even on the basis of this, you can see that how the large number of the available plant specimens in the herbarium which are maintained by the different countries. Here major herbaria of the India, which include here the herbarium of the Indian Botanical Garden situated at the Kolkata in the West Bengal, which is established in 1793, and on today's there are availability of more than 25 lakhs of plant species. Then herbarium of the Forest Research Institute from the Dehradun, herbarium of the Indian College and the Research Coimbatore, then Blatter Herbarium St. Xavier's College of the Bombay, then Botanical Survey of India Eastern Circle Shillong, then Botanical Survey of India Western Circle Pune, then Botanical Survey of India Northern Circle Dehradun, Botanical Survey of India Industrial Sector Kolkata, then Botanical Survey of India Central Circle Allahabad, and the National Botanic Garden Herbarium from the Lucknow. So these are the major herbarium of our country. Then the last topic in this lecture, that is herbarium ethics. Means whenever we want to use the herbarium for our research or the study in angiosperm taxonomy, at that time what should we have to keep in mind while using the herbarium of any institute? So this is very much important because we must take care of the every specimen available in the herbarium. Here handle the specimen with the extreme care because they are of the scientific value and most of them are irreplaceable, because every time it is not possible to collect the same plant from the field, because it is not easy to collect the particular plant from the field, and hence it is very essential to take the extreme care while handling the different specimens from the herbarium. Then keep the specimens flat as the specimens are dried. Every time whenever we have to use the herbarium sheets for the study, we have to keep it as a flat on the surface or on the flat surface, and hence the brittle or easily damaged, because these herbarium sheets or the plant material are brittle and easily damaged, and hence this type of the care should be taken. Then store the herbarium specimens always in the cases. This is very important when we have to use, and after the use immediately we have to keep in the cases. Then keep the materials in folders when not in use. As earlier said, there is a availability or the use of the folders for the species, for the genus, and even for the families also. In such a cases, always during the use, we have to take or the keep these specimens or the herbarium sheets in the folders. Never keep heavy books or any object on the specimens. As earlier said, the specimens which are available in the herbarium, they are brittle and that can be easily damaged, and hence if we have to keep any heavy object like the book or any other material, then it is possible to break these plants. So to avoid this, here we may not keep the any such type of the heavy material on the plant specimens. Then do not write anything on the herbarium sheet unless permitted. If you are not permitted from the herbarium, then you may not allowed to write anything on the herbarium sheets. So you should avoid to write anything on the herbarium sheet. Instead of that, whenever you are using the herbarium sheets from any herbarium, you have to use your own diary for noting down the different characteristics of the specimen studied. Then return the specimens if the loan is taken from any institute before the time period over of the loan. Because whenever we are taking the loan of the herbarium sheets from any herbarium, at that time it is taken for a particular period. And if that period of the loan is over, then it will be difficult to take the another loan from the same institute. And hence, to avoid such type of the difficulty in the future, we have to return such type of the loan herbarium sheets to the herbarium before the end of this period of the loan, so that here every time we can use the herbarium sheets from the different herbarium, so that such type of the herbarium sheets or the specimens which are available in the herbarium will be helpful to every stakeholder in the plant sciences. So thank you very much for your patiently listening of this complete lecture. If you like this lecture series in Angiosperm taxonomy, then kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel Botany for You, and also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on the different life sciences titles. Thank you very much.